controversial defendants in this country avoid the death penalty. Judge Andrew Napolitano is our Fox News senior judicial analyst. Let's start with the wife. DNA on the bomb component doesn't really tell us much.
No, you know, it could be a clerk in the store. It could have been something she innocently handled in her kitchen before her husband took it and turned a cooking utensil into an instrument of terror and mass murder.
So even if it matches her DNA, it doesn't tell us much.
Correct, because the statute requires intention. It would have to show that she was intentionally involved in some way with this. Now, they can tell a lot about DNA. They can.
What if her DNA is on the explosive material? I mean that would be, but if there was some remnant of a firecracker, something like that, that's a little less.
Well, that would probably cause them to arrest her at that point. But remember, they can not only tell it's hers, they can tell how long it was there. So they can, if they have a timeline from the time this thing was purchased until the time it exploded, and they can tie her into somewhere along the timeline. There's an innocent part of the timeline, perhaps when it was used to cook pot roast, and there's a criminal part of the timeline from when they started to turn it into a bomb.
Yeah.
It depends on where they can pinpoint her in that timeline.
And what does it tell you that we see them showing up at the house, walking out with bags of evidence, and reportedly taking the DNA sample of her at the house? Does that tell us anything about her cooperation?
It tells us a couple of things. It tells us that they are concerned with their own perception because they alerted the media before they went to the house. And they're getting very bad their criticism and valid criticism, so they're trying to make themselves look a little better. But they wouldn't go through that house for nothing, just for image. It's costly, it's intrusive, and they need a legal basis on which to do it. So they have some basis for wanting to get all of that information. The swab, you know, they take a Q-tip and put it on the inside of your mouth.
Yep.
And that's the easiest, least offensive way to get a DNA sample. They may very well have said, we'll come to you and we'll take it. You don't have to come to downtown Boston from Rhode Island.
So she could be cooperating. We don't know whether this was all with her consent or pursuant to a warrant.
Her lawyer stated yesterday that she was cooperating, but you're right. If they got a warrant for her DNA, we might not know that until they make the warrant public. So they could have the warrant and we wouldn't know it.
And that'll tell us a little bit about whether she is cooperating. I want to talk about the dream lawyer, so-called dream lawyer, who's been added to Dzhokhar Tsarnaev's defense team. I mean, it's incredible.
Her background.
What now? You know, what the strength of the team that's going to be defending him. So who is this woman? Well, I'm looking for her name. Clarke. No, hold on a second. Yeah, Judy.
Right. Well, she is a federal public defender who is the star of the Federal Public Defender Corps in the United States of America. And the federal public defenders will dispatch her to their highest profile death penalty cases, where she specializes in getting people whom the government says are monsters life terms in jail rather than execution. I say whom the government says are monsters because her track record is to negotiate a plea. So typically, she would probably say, you can talk to Dzhokhar Tsarnaev until the cows come home in return for accepting a guilty plea and a sentence of incarceration and getting rid of the death penalty. That would mean no trial. That would mean a lot of evidence that we'll never know about because the interrogation of Dzhokhar will be in private and we'll only know what the FBI wants us to know.
She apparently, this is according to FoxNews.com, a report actually citing the Associated Press, she has, quote, an ability to relate to people who are charged with these horrific crimes and to humanize them. That is her key skill. And she's, I mean, Susan Smith, the woman who drowned her children.
Right.
Unabomber.
Right.
Jared Loughner, who shot Gabby Giffords.
Well, the humanizing of him would only come into play if there's a jury trial. The best I think she can hope for him is not a jury trial, but a guilty plea where he spills his guts for weeks and months in private till the FBI is satisfied that he's been honest and they've learned everything they want from him, in return for which there'll be no death penalty and he'll be sentenced to Florence, Colorado, you know, a solitary confinement 250 feet below the surface of the earth for the rest of his life. That's probably what she's going for. His next-door neighbor will be some of the people that you just talked about.
Right.
Kosinski
That's the best-case scenario.
Yes.
The other lawyer, the federal public defender, is Miriam Conrad, and she's somebody who went to Harvard Law School, described as aggressive, feisty, not histrionic, judges respect her, fierce advocate. She is somebody who has also done a lot of death penalty cases.
This is an interesting team, Megan, because Judy is the negotiator. Miriam is the tiger in the courtroom that the federal prosecutors will know will give them a run for their money if they have to get into court, whether it's for a motion to suppress evidence or whether it's for an actual jury trial.
The federal public defender, Miriam, has been quoted as saying, if you scratch the surface, many of these clients have had difficult lives. I see them as the whole, not just as a person charged with a crime. No one's ever stood up for them. That's a very powerful thing. There are people who do this for a living. They defend the worst of the worst.
If we are to read into that, she's going to blame it on the dead brother and his Svengali-like control over Dzhokhar. I don't know that that works with a jury. I won't say Boston.
Where else are they going to go?
I won't say Boston jury because there's no way this case, if it's tried, will be tried in Boston, but a federal jury somewhere.
Yeah. Where else are they going to go? I mean, with the evidence they reportedly have.
That's why I think a plea deal is their only hope.
We'll see if the government's interested. Judge, thank you.